Well, hello there, folks, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Speed Street Podcast. Going to try to keep the energy up on this one. There is a lot of exciting news to talk about, some wild news to talk about that just came out today. Thank God in time for our podcast, because we needed some juice to get ourselves hyped up. I personally announced a new livery for the Nashville Music City Grand Prix this weekend. The All-American Rejects are our sponsor, which is awesome. We have an IndyCar video game coming that we're going to talk about. Is Alex Palou going to the Red Bull Formula One team? Who knows? We got some speculation there. We got some interesting conversation to have. And then, of course, we are interviewing a race winner, a new race winner. Which I think some folks, I saw some comments on the web that people think I thought I would make up some excuses as to, not having Christian Rasmussen on, but no, we interviewed the race winners, and yes, we did have him on the show a couple weeks ago, but he was not a winner. Now he is. And so I hope you guys enjoy that conversation. We will see what you think. I personally, am very sad about how the Milwaukee race ended up for us. And again, I come onto this podcast to be very honest about what happens, during the races. And I think I got a couple comments randomly about Woe's Connor, I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to say feel bad for me. I don't care at all. This is just what happens. There are more losers in the race every weekend than there are winners. I don't know if you know about that. And guess what everyone wants to do? You want to win. So it sucks when you lose. So I'm not going to go too deep into it, because I'm not going to bore anyone with any of the small details, because, there was only the small things that affected our race this weekend. And you know what? I only try to paint a clear picture of why racing isn't just easy. Why racing isn't just the driver that got there first won. There's so many things that go into both the wins and the losses. So I'm going to explain it to you guys a little bit. But Chase, I want to get your thoughts on the Milwaukee race. A lot of people did say it was exciting. I thought the racing was a little bit worse than last year, race one wise. But what were your thoughts? Obviously some exciting battles, some good television coverage.
Yeah, so got to live stream the race, which is something I haven't done in a while. That was really fun. Had a lot of people that came and joined and just watched. And it was really it felt like a big event, man. And it was. And I think that everyone was really looking forward to this race this year. We've all been craving ovals since Worldwide Technology Raceway. So from that perspective, definitely one of the more exciting races this year that I think we've seen. And the finish was very exciting. So, we could say what we want at the end of the day, but it was just a fantastic race, and it got a lot of eyes. Anytime you have a first-time winner in IndyCar, that's going to attract a lot of praise and a lot of reaching out. So I did see a lot of that online, and I think that overall this is just this is all good stuff for IndyCar.
I agree, and shout out to the crowd. This is a heartfelt message to the crowd at the Milwaukee Mile. We had more people on Saturday for practice and qualifying than we did at probably race 2 at Iowa. But that's all thanks to you folks. There has to be a study. So something, maybe it's the area, maybe it's the region. Obviously we have a lot of amazing race fans that come to the Road America race as well. That's not too far from Milwaukee. Yeah. Milwaukee's not too far from Indianapolis as well. It's a not a bad little Midwestern drive. But the crowd on Sunday looked awesome. I mean, that's what oval racing is all about. Pack the stands. It felt like we were putting on a show. So, shout out to the fans, all the folks that come out, and especially on Saturday too. Because again, I think practice and qualifying is cool. And one of my mechanics, obviously we were qualifying and we went P1 for exactly 28 seconds. But, one of my mechanics was like, hey man, the crowd really cheered when you went P1. And I was like, hey, that's awesome. I appreciate that. So I thanked everyone in my radio interview because it's like, hey, it means a lot to hear something like that. And there's some sort of, excitement for qualifying, because to be honest, at any other oval other than the Indianapolis 500, even at St. Louis or Iowa, the crowds are smaller on the qualifying days. But this one felt like, hey, when someone else went P1, like when David Malukas all of a sudden took P1, the crowd went crazy, and that's really cool to have that on a Saturday. You know what I mean? On a qualifying day, it just means a lot to us as drivers, I think, and it makes you feel like, hey, you know what? We're actually out here doing some wild stuff. We're doing something that is very difficult, and people appreciate it. So that was really cool. But yeah, let's get right into Milwaukee, because I don't want to spend, there's not massive issues to report. Well, I want to talk about the race, because I think that there was some good racing, and really not a lot of attrition. No massive accidents, nothing crazy. Nolan Siegel, obviously lap 1, that was a tough one, but just kind of want to get into that, because I think there's more news to talk about, and more exciting news to just have a think about than what happened at Milwaukee from my standpoint. And I don't have my laptop. I'm at the simulator, and I somehow managed to forget my laptop, because it's just been that kind of a couple days. Tough mental spot after Milwaukee. But I'm going to have Chase read through the results of the race, and then we'll kind of go through it, because we like to go through the results to make sure everyone knows, what happened. But Chase, I'll let you kind of just quickly go through results, P1 to P last.
All right, let's go. In first, Christian Rasmussen. Second, we had Alex Palou. P3, Scott McLaughlin. P4, Alexander Rossi. Finishing fifth, Pato Award. P6, Christian Lundgaard. P7, Joseph Newgarden. P8, Dave Malukas. P9, Scott Dixon. Rounding out the top 10, Marcus Armstrong. So what do we think right there, I guess, like looking into that top 10?
Well, Marcus Armstrong has had a wild streak of top 10s. Very impressive. I don't know who I picked for the podium this week, because I always forget, but Marcus Armstrong, again, kind of was on a wild strategy at one point, but then the last yellow helped him out a little bit to get back on even tires with everyone. But Christian Lundgaard had a very quiet day, but slid inside the top 10. And I was very surprised, because he wasn't, they undercut big time on the first stint and got ahead of us. And he was definitely not super fast at the beginning of that stint. I tried to get around him a couple times. That overtaking, I would say, was a little bit difficult once you got deeper into the stint. But yeah, not too many surprises overall. I would say Joseph Newgarden is very upset he didn't take new tires on that last stint.
For sure. Let's keep moving. P11, we had Colton Herta. P12, Kyle Kirkwood. In 13th, yourself, Connor Daly. P14, Santino Ferrucci. P15, Renus VK. In 16th, Devlin DeFrancesco, Ray Hall. P17, we had Louis Foster with Ray Hall. P18, Robert Schwartzman. 19th, Marcus Erickson. And 20th, Kiffin Simpson. And then finishing it out in 21st, Jacob Abel in the Miller Lite car. Nice car. Yeah. Just to be honest. Yeah, nice car. P22, Felix Rosenquist. P23, Stingray Robb. In 24th, Graham Ray Hall. 25th, Callum Ilott. 26th, Will Power. And 27th, Nolan Siegel to finish him out. And there's a lot to talk about in that bracket as well. So some movers and some guys that had some really good outlooks before the race that things kind of went a little sideways for. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's get right to the race start. So right out the gate, I'm obviously starting 8th on the outside. We were somewhat confident. Qualifying, I would say we missed it a little bit. Track got a little greasy for us, and we just didn't seem to have the same grip that we were expecting. A little bit of understeer for me, but we also had we had a bit of an issue with one of our upshifts, which is no fault of Chevy at all. But there's a really big bump exiting turn 4, and to give you now, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but an upshift or a downshift takes a certain amount of time, right? And we're talking milliseconds. So if you accidentally hit the paddle going for the the deploy button. So my deploy button is behind the downshift, paddle. And I caught the downshift paddle going over a bump before the deploy, and it somehow basically like false downshifted. And so we lost a little bit of time ending the first lap and then beginning the second lap, almost 5 miles an hour. So that definitely hurt our qualifying run a little bit. Probably could have, I would say at best we were going to be 5th or 6th. Maybe not a ton better. Maybe 6th. But it still would have been a little bit better. So that was a shame. But again, starting 8th, we have no problem with. Obviously, last year we kind of started way further back and it was okay. And right when the green flag flew, honestly, I got so much wheel spin that I thought I was spinning. First gear, down low RPM, it was a real challenge and somehow got the thing going again. So I immediately kind of had to, I didn't lose anything, just Joseph got in front of me who was in the same row. But I went to the outside. And honestly, I'm blown away those guys let me do that. I even said it on the radio when we went yellow. I just didn't expect, like, it was, 2 Penske cars and then Kirkwood and Pato, who are obviously, no back markers. So just went to the outside. It gripped up, went to the outside again, 3 wide into 3-4, past the 2 guys, Pato and Kyle. And then, honestly, Scott McLaughlin, I don't think the TV saw this at all, but Scott McLaughlin had one of the biggest moments that I've seen in a long time. He literally left tire marks from his rear tires almost spinning out of 4 on lap 1. I'm 3 wide, just trying to complete my pass on Kyle and Pato, and I'm thinking Scott's crashing right in front of me. I actually lifted out of it because I was like, oh, and then he saved it. But I had a huge run on Scott. And again, I think if it didn't go yellow, I probably would have got Scott as well because he was basically just trying to recover his life. He actually sent me the onboard clip of it, and it was very funny. It was a very massive save. So shout out to Scott for saving that one.
I don't think that was on TV at all.
Oh, no, it was not. But yeah, to immediately see it go yellow, I was definitely disappointed because I wanted my momentum to keep going. And like, I think we probably could have got 3rd if the yellow didn't come out. But big crash for Nolan Siegel. And it looked like he just kind of got a little bit too low in 3-4 there, which is very slick. And, tough situation for Nolan Siegel. We're going to go at the end of the season, we're obviously going to go back through our power rankings and see where everyone lines up when it comes to the power rankings. But, couldn't be a nicer young fella. And, he's had a struggle. I mean, when you look at your teammates 2nd and 3rd in the championship, or 2nd and 4th in the championship, could potentially be 2nd and 3rd in the championship. And he's I believe 22nd in the championship. That's got to be tough for him, and that's a lot of pressure on him. And he's a young guy, but if those guys continue to have the faith in him, and maybe he gets just this season as a learning year and is able to bounce back next year, maybe we'll see something different. But just feel for him, definitely feel for him there. But yeah, so we take the restart, and I'm noticing immediately that Scott McLaughlin ain't gonna let me have the high sack. That no one's gonna let me have that. Like, I'm trying as hard as I can to get to the top side. It is much harder. Everyone's figured me out, and we just kind of settle in. And in the first thing, it was fine. Pato, we're pulling away from Pato. Power kind of put some pressure on us for a little bit, but then pulled away from Power, and we were kind of all just stagnant. David Malukas definitely had some pace at the beginning, but then we started to run him back down when he caught traffic. And the biggest telltale sign for kind of how difficult the day would be, I think, is when Scott McLaughlin caught Jacob Abel. The first 2 cars were able to pass Jacob Abel, but Scott McLaughlin was not able to pass Jacob. And this is, the car that's running dead last, and Scott was running 3rd. And it was very difficult to pass. And I know that the NASCAR Cup Series gets a lot of shade sometimes for having the front runners struggle to pass some of the lap cars. But we were definitely in that spot. I was like, man, this is gonna be a challenge. Anytime anyone got close on older tires, there just wasn't that same ability to create a run. So it was really just counting down to the first pit stop, and the undercut immediately became the right thing to do. When we made our first pit stop, and to be honest with you all, issues from Portland, they sadly show themselves at a place like Milwaukee because of our pit box. So when you qualify, when we have our qualifying issues that we had, that means that you don't get a good pit box selection. And Milwaukee, the first two pit boxes are possibly the worst in the sport. And I'll give IndyCar credit; they tried to move them forward. They put the NTT Performance pit box at the very first pit box, but Jacob Abel and I, we had the first two pit boxes, and we lose about a second to a second and a half each time on the way in, because it's almost impossible to get the right angle and slowing down to hit the pit speed to get everything done correctly. And so that was a real detriment every pit stop. And there's nothing I could do about it, because as much as I tried to get it any faster, it just wasn't possible. Even on the last stop, I tried as much as I could, and I actually almost hit one of my guys. Like we had a very close call. And shout out to my guys for still getting the job done. But that's why racing is so hard. One thing that happens one weekend, you think that you can move on from it, but you're still being plagued from everything that happened in Portland, at Milwaukee. And so that was a killer for us right out the gate, because when I came out of the pits, I realized, hang on a second, there's a McLaren in front of me that I've never seen before. There's another car. The undercut had worked so well for people. And that was kind of the bane of our existence, is just some of the cycles. Some of the pit stop cycles were, the undercuts were very powerful. Some of the restarts, I was able to make up spots again, and kind of we were running solidly in the top 10 all day. But just, there was a couple other small things that we just have to analyze as a team. A couple of the restarts at very low speed, my car would pick up, and Stingray, after I talked, we would pick up instantaneous understeer at very low speed, which I've never experienced before. So we just have to kind of look at that and why that happens. And that hurt us a little bit, but I was able to kind of drive back through what I lost. But the last restart, when we get all the way to the end, we had been undercut, by both the ECR cars. And we'll talk to Christian about it as well. Those guys undercut everyone hard. And Alex Rossi did the same thing the year before. Alex Rossi gained like 10 spots the year before just by undercutting. It's so powerful. And, we definitely we just missed out on that, which is, part of the game sometimes. Kyle Kirkwood and I had the same thing happen. Right? Kyle Kirkwood and I both at the beginning were running, fourth and fifth, or he was about sixth, and we pitted very, very similar times. So it's not only us who tried to, figure out a pit strategy for us to work. But the undercut was so powerful, and there was a lot of lap traffic on that last restart. And sometimes you got to catch those guys right. You got to get a little bit lucky. And the 8 car was so slow, and we there was another car that would just, Felix Rosenquist was in the middle of 3 wide. Like, we were splitting lap cars, and I had passed Colton and Kyle, and I got the wrong end of a lap car. Kiffin drifted up in front of me, who obviously Joseph had a bit of he had a finger pointing session. Yeah. Kiffin Simpson. Like, you listen here, young boy. That was very funny. But yeah, I caught lap traffic wrong. And honestly, there's nothing else I could have done about it. We were faster than Colton and Kyle, I believe, like pretty easily. Definitely faster than Armstrong. I drove around him earlier in the race. But once you get trapped, that's it. There was no overtaking really deep in the field. Rasmussen was the only one doing it really, and he did a great job doing it. But the air is a little bit clearer when you're up there, thankfully, and we were just stuck. So it was honestly, leaving that race, I was so disappointed, just so sad. It's just tough because that was that was a really good opportunity for us in the points too. It could have got us closer to the opportunity at maybe finishing in the top 15 in points. I don't think that's possible now. But yeah, I mean, on pace for sure, we had a top 6 to 8 car pace wise. Again, probably not the right winning pace, but again, if track position is king, and we just missed out on track position several times, and that cost us a lot, and it cost other people too. I mean, Kyle Kirkwood, similar situation, fell back a little bit, and the last restart was just unlucky for us, honestly, with how we caught the lap cars. And I wish the lap cars had got moved to the back, but we were not within 20 to go, so they don't move the lap cars to the back, which that I think would have made the race 100 times better. For a lot of us, honestly. But yeah, just, I appreciate the team for everything they did for me. And we definitely tried to give it a good shot. And I worked my butt off, I feel like, out there trying everything that I could to work around, the situations that we were in. And it just wasn't, we just didn't have enough. So, that's pretty much it. That's all we had in our wagon. I believe we definitely deserved to finish a little bit higher. But yeah, what were some standout moments for you during the race, Chase?
We had a really good bit of action. For me, like I was saying, streaming and watching everything kind of play out the way that it did, with the strategy, the cautions that we had were really just I'm indifferent thinking about it now, I guess, like, because I really just want to know, like, from your perspective, what were the things that were different for you going into it this week? Like, I just want to ask you that, like, were you surprised at how things played out? Like, and what was the biggest change from last year to this year on track?
Well, I think everyone was going faster. So everyone, when you come back to a track, everyone is going to improve, because that's racing, right? We don't show up to tracks the next year with nothing to try. I don't know if people realize this, but these teams work every day to try to figure, there are already teams working on, what they want to bring next year to Milwaukee to make the cars even better and faster. So I think the pace of all the cars tightened up a little bit, which meant that overtaking was harder because everyone is a little bit closer. I still think, the high line was awesome. I think the low line was more difficult to use because I think everyone was kind of a little bit more dialed in. And, you could use it a little bit on the, on the opening laps of a stint with new tires, but everyone's faster. So it's not quite as easy to navigate traffic. And that was really the only thing. The weather was good. The wind was very similar all weekend long. I would say, the wind in Milwaukee is very, very powerful. Turns 1 and 2, you would see cars, especially in qualifying. You saw cars with a lot of steering lock in the car, a lot of understeer. And then Felix Rosenqvist, for example, then all of a sudden spun in 3-4 because the headwind pins the nose in 3-4. So a lot of freeness in 3-4, cars on the loose side. And 1 and 2, you're just trying to get through there without too much understeer. So you're having to set up the car and feel the car do two entirely different things on two ends of the track. So on the two different ends of the track. So it's definitely a challenge for us as drivers. But everyone's closer just because, we had time to do some research. We got on the sim. Everyone showed up with a little bit closer setups. That's it, really.
Yeah, and so going into Nashville this week, I mean, after this, you still have a lot to look forward to at this weekend. So I mean, how is the transition going to be this week? Like getting ready for this one. We know we got one more left.
Well, I mean, I think there are different aero rules for Nashville. So there is a little bit of a difference for the Nashville aero package. They're basically taking some more downforce away from the floor and adding it to the top side, which basically just creates more drag. So they're hoping that improves the racing. Now, again, I thought the race was good last year, but you're going to see the same thing this year. Cars are going to show up vastly improved compared to what we were last year. You had Ganassi just testing there last week, so I wouldn't be surprised if all three of those cars are very good. So there are some differences though with the rules package, and it'll still be, exciting because we've got the red tires. If people forget, we've got the red tires and the primary tire. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I do believe you'll see a little bit closer of a field once again. I think you'll see maybe, I hope the race is exciting with the way the aero rules work. I really do. And I know that the drivers are obviously getting more brave with running the high side. But yeah, I think it'll be, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I still think track position is going to be king, and tire deg is going to be important, especially with the red tires. We obviously saw that last year, but yeah, I think overall, looking back at Milwaukee quickly, I can't wait to see the ratings. I really hope people watched it. It seemed like, not going up against NASCAR, having a pretty free Sunday, is hopefully good. I'm glad people appreciated the race, and honestly, just a shout out once again to those who came to the race. And I was very disappointed that I couldn't deliver on what we had last year. But this is a team effort, and we obviously want to now finish it off strong in Nashville. So let's get to a couple other of the big news items, because I don't want to focus too much more on what happened in that race. Obviously you had the willpower thing. Real quick in Milwaukee, it started raining, which was wild. That was a weird one.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that it started raining in the middle of the race. And the willpower spin, that was wild to see. A shame to see that for him. But yeah, just the race kind of had a bit of everything. But obviously, if you haven't watched it, please feel free to go watch it because it's a great one. But let's get to some wild rumors that came up during the weekend. I just want to get a reaction to this and just see what folks think about it. But I believe it was Nathan Brown who first put this out there. But there's an Alex Palou to Red Bull Formula One rumor, which that's wild. And Nathan Brown is he's not a parody account. That didn't come from the Daily Downforwards. That didn't come from a fake AI website page. Nathan Brown was legitimately reporting that there is, there's something going on there. So some sort of rumor has stirred from somewhere.
A rumor
that caused people to start photoshopping Alex Palou into Red Bull fire suits. I love this. I think this is awesome to talk about. I think that if there's anyone who deserves to be called upon by Red Bull Racing, it's Alex Palou for sure. 1,000,000%. And I'm sure it made F1 Twitter very angry, very upset to see any IndyCar driver getting any type of respect in that scenario. But I can't wait to see how this plays out. Now, again, I think it's a stretch. I think Alex Palou, living the life he's living currently, where he is able to win everything at any time and do it with ease, boy, that would be hard to leave. But then you're like, Red Bull Racing, though, that'd be pretty cool. Now, having said that, though, that second seat at Red Bull is almost like a death sentence. That second seat at Red Bull is like, yikes. We've got, poor Liam Lawson had to deal with that. Sergio Perez got kicked out. Yuki Tsunoda is definitely not, faring very well there. Daniel Ricciardo, he was gone. That second seat at Red Bull, it's a dangerous one, it seems. Not physically, but career wise. So I don't know. I think it's just very cool that there is that conversation being opened, whether it's real or not. I think for sure that Red Bull should be talking to Alex Palou.
That's what's tough. That's what's tough though, Connor, because like we've seen this rumor for like so long, and like Alex has been on so many interviews now talking about how he has no plans to go anywhere. So for
we haven't
Nathan
seen this rumor
Brown,
before though. This
right.
rumor has not come up. People have just kept asking him if he's going to go to
the
Formula
speculation, are you going to Formula One? And so to actually see it come from a legitimate source, it's almost like we've heard this for so long. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if I can believe this. I don't think this is true. I don't want to believe it, but I mean, at the same time, you really can't knock any professional race car driver for doing anything that they think is going to better their career and is going to help them achieve their goals and their dreams. So what I will say to this is that I think it definitely creates big storylines. It definitely gets IndyCar in the news. It definitely creates something for us to look into going into the off season. So anything that's creating news around IndyCar, I'm happy with. At the same time, I think Alex has said it enough, and at this point, I got to look at it as I feel like we're still a rumor, kind of. So
yeah, well, I mean, it definitely is, but I think there's no F1 conversations until the right call comes. You know what I mean? I think that's without a doubt how the world works. I mean, you could say Alex can say that every day until all of a sudden you get any number of if Toto Wolff calls him, if anyone at Ferrari called, it was like, well, at least maybe we'll have that conversation. And
they also
Red Bull
heard of the F2. Have you seen that one?
The Colton Herta to F2 rumors definitely, I feel like, are complete baloney. I think that would be a disgrace for Colton Herta. That would be honestly a disgrace to the licensing system if he would have to do that for some reason. I think that's literally insane.
That's what I was thinking.
Let me tell you, at Colton's salary right now, he ain't never going back to F2 to leave the salary that he's currently got in IndyCar and racing against some of the best right now and at this high level. So I'm going to go ahead and say that one is probably not real.
I think we all should believe that.
But think of how easy. This is actually what I thought about the other day. That's so scary. Think of how easy it is to just start a rumor. Like you could literally create your own Twitter account and like space things out to where it looks like you're putting together a news story and be like, just got word from an anonymous source or a source that that Marcus Ericsson is going to drive for Richard Childress next year in NASCAR Cup.
Yeah.
And you're like,
in NASCAR.
You're like, well, I guess we got to look at that. Maybe that's real. It's like people will fall for anything, clearly, but it's so easy to stir the pot because everyone wants to see something. So again,
they're craving it.
I think we gotta, let's look at where this comes from, and maybe reporters got to. I've actually got more appreciation now for the folks that are the verified reporters and the racer magazines and the folks at Motorsport, the folks that are out there doing the real work. I respect that a lot because I think there's so many random Twitter accounts that are just like, I'm going to run with something, man. I'm sure it's going to go viral because I just can. So that's funny. I think that is a very funny thing to see. So continuing on with F1 really quick, because this is kind of cool, and there's an IndyCar connection. So the Cadillac Formula One team obviously announced their drivers today. Valtteri Bottas, your guy. Valtteri Bottas.
That's my guy, dude.
That's your guy. Great mustache. Yep. And Checo Perez, obviously Sergio Perez. I see basically two ways to look at this. I get it. Two very experienced drivers, race winners, a lot of podiums. But it would have been cool to see some like wild, young hot shoe like a Colton Herta or just something different. They went with the two solid, talented drivers who have come from teams that have done very well. So again, I completely understand it, and honestly, I like Valtteri, and Checo's always been cool. Anytime I talk to him way back in the day, and obviously he's got such a great fan base and probably a ton of support to go towards that team. But Cadillac F1 is becoming more and more real. They got Keanu Reeves in their intro videos.
I was very pumped about that. That was a really cool way to do it, and only Valtteri could do it to that level, I feel like. So I was very proud. Very proud to
Valtteri,
see
he
that.
put out a great photo where he's riding a surfboard carrying an American flag. Kind of respect that. You know what I mean? Kind of respect that.
He's out here.
He's playing up the personality, and I agree with that. I think that is necessary. So Cadillac F1, I actually thought I was going to see both of those guys here today at the GM Performance Center, because the F1 simulator is basically right next to me, and can't tell you who's been in that simulator, but there's been a couple drivers that I've seen, some familiar faces in that simulator that have been helping those guys out. Obviously not during the summer break because everyone is like mandatorily off for summer, which is kind of cool. But yeah, they've got their two drivers now, which is cool. And before we get to Christian Rasmussen as well, I really want to talk about this All-American Rejects partnership that we've got for the Music City Grand Prix coming up in Nashville. Kind of a wild story, honestly. So All-American Rejects will be promoting their new song, Easy Come, Easy Go, which you better go listen to right now. Download it, purchase it, stream it, whatever you can do. Support the band. An incredible band who's having a wild moment right now. They're on tour with the Jonas Brothers, which is wild. They played at Carb Day this year at the Indy 500. So this story started by one of my sponsors wanted to go meet Bret Michaels. So I brought one of my sponsors over to meet Bret Michaels, and All-American Rejects were playing. And so I was like, we got to go out there and see that. Like, I desperately want to go see some All-American Rejects songs. So we got up on stage and heard some incredible songs. And then Tyson Ritter, who's obviously lead singer, he was kind of hanging side stage as Bret Michaels was getting ready to go on. And my girlfriend Amy obviously knows everything about music. So she's like, oh, there's Tyson. I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to meet that guy. And so I just went up and introduced myself to him, and great conversation. Wonderful guy. Like, couldn't be a nicer human. He wants to come on the podcast as well, by the way. So we'll probably try to get Tyson Ritter on the show here at some point, maybe after the weekend. They're on tour right now, so their schedule is literally absurd. But
can imagine.
We started having a conversation because he couldn't stay for the Indy 500, but he went to go do the Pardon My Take podcast, which is obviously one of my favorite podcasts. And he was wearing an Indianapolis Motor Speedway jacket when he was doing that, so he fully embraced the Indianapolis Motor Speedway vibes and the lore. And
that's what it seems like. He's really like I feel like he is so plugged into the sport. Like every time you see him on television when he did the 2-seater ride, like he's so like just hyped up for it. And that all really kind of like started big this year. Or has he always been a fan?
So he honestly really only learned more about IndyCar through the Indy 500, which is, again, that's how it starts. And I told him, I was like, dude, you have to come to a race. Like at some point, like you got to be able to stay for the race. And so, we exchanged numbers, and I started talking to him about it, and it looked like Laguna Seca was going to be a race that he could come to. And so he was super pumped. He wanted to bring his dad, who was big into drag racing back in the day, and we made it happen. And IndyCar actually even got him to do the fastest seat in sports for Laguna Seca, because I told IndyCar, I was like, hey guys, by the way, Tyson's coming. If you want to, like, if you can help, because he was going to land Sunday morning over the race. So I was like, hey, if you guys can help just get him in quickly, like that would be awesome. He really wants to check it out. And so thankfully IndyCar helped out, and they're like, oh, we're going to do fastest seat in sports. Like, this is going to be sweet. And he had an awesome time there during that race. I mean, just so much enjoyed it. He did the driver start your engines from the seat of the 2-seater. And he actually was going to say, he said, and go Connor, but they pulled the mic away from him quickly because you weren't supposed to say, like, you weren't supposed to be cheering for anyone. So that was kind of funny. So we went to dinner and had a great conversation with Tyson, myself, my girlfriend, just kind of going back and forth. Tyson has such an incredible story to tell. He's a great human, very smart guy, just incredible knowledge of the world and what's going on. And the music industry, obviously, they're doing some incredible things like backyard shows, and going against the system of like the Ticketmaster system and then the way concert tickets are sold. Like, they're just trying to get music to the people, and it's just so respectable. And when we were talking about races coming up, and I was telling them kind of about the whole the business side of motorsports is tough. It's tough. And, I told him kind of how our AMPM and ARCO sponsorship came about. And he asked, if we had any, partnerships or sponsors for Nashville. And I was like, no, like we have nothing right now. And he was like, well, why don't we do it? And I said, well, I mean, if you guys want to, that would be awesome. He's like, yeah, they got a new song that they're trying to push. They're doing a tour with the Jonas Brothers right now. They got a ton going on. So it was kind of an easy sell. And he was like, hey, this makes sense for us. We want to market using this incredible sport, using me as a driver and someone who likes to tell an incredible story. And we put it together in like 2 weeks. So just I'm incredibly thankful to the whole All-American Rejects team, like Tyson's team, his management, all the folks everyone's just great people, it seems like. And that's super fun to be able to deal with. So they're obviously going to play a show before the race in Nashville, which is going to be incredible. We're going to have some wild race suits too. He got a guy to design some wild race suits for me.
Wow.
So that very like almost artistic race suits, which are going to be
When do we
sweet.
get to see them?
Very soon, when they become real, hopefully at the end of the week.
Okay. Awesome.
So yeah, that was awesome. And real quick, you know what? We still want to talk about the IndyCar video game news, which we will get to. But let's just quickly throw out some picks for Nashville while we're talking Nashville. I want to throw out some picks real quick for Nashville. I got to go with myself. I'm gonna go with it. We're gonna do our best job. We got to finish the season strong for the All-American Rejects, for Tyson Ritter, for the whole band. That's gonna be my first pick.
Okay, first pick. You got to do it. I'm doubling down again. Look, ride the momentum from the energy from the entire season. Okay, that's all that matters here. Big pushes, and I'm excited to see it. Let's make it happen. Number one. Who's two?
I love it. Well, I'm not going to pick Joseph this time because clearly there's something going on there. It just seems like a wild situation.
It's been
for
tough.
him in that group, but he's been fast every time. I think Will Power could have a great finish to his season, and people are speculating maybe a finish to his Penske era in IndyCar. I saw him talking to David Malukas, and the 100 Days to Indy cameras were locked in, and I'm just very curious to see what happens. I don't think Will's going to be out of IndyCar, but it does seem like his stint at Penske. Now, this is just speculation, but it does seem like that might be coming to a close. So I think Will Power is an emotions pick. That's an emotional pick. He's just going out on a high note.
Okay, I like that. My second pick is going to be Pato. I'm going with Pato. It seems like he's definitely locked up where he is in the championship right now. He's just going to be ripping on ovals, and I think we still see him find a way to end it on the highest note that he can. So Pato is my second one. Maybe somebody could challenge. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, my third pick's Alex Palou. He's just on a heater. Ganassi tested there last week, which is almost unfair. So it's got to be Alex Palou.
All right. Yeah, and I really cannot disagree with you on that one. It's what he did at Milwaukee really surprised me.
Yeah.
It was up until that last caution, you knew like, okay, man, he's really running away with it. Like whatever happened from last year to this year, something clicked in a major way. So yes, has to be Alex Palou. We're not going to be that different this week on our picks. Lock him in.
That's all right. All right. Well, Nashville this weekend. Honestly, you got to tune in. I think it's going to be a great race. I think this is, we want to finish the season with the highest ratings of all time. Be a friend, tell a friend about the race. If you haven't got tickets for the race yet, please get tickets. It's going to be completely worth seeing. There's a huge crowd in Milwaukee for a reason. It's entertaining to watch IndyCars on ovals. Me personally, after the race, I was like, I don't know why we don't start the season on an oval and finish the season on an oval. I think
that's an idea.
The excitement is hyped. This is not to take away from St. Pete or anything like that, but finding an oval to start the season with and end the season with, I think is awesome. Put everything else in between. That energy feels right. So yeah, just get tickets to the race if you haven't already. But if not, tune in on Fox. Obviously, hey, guess what? It's on Fox. Easy to find. Easy to find.
And Fox was streaming.
There you go as well. Yeah, well, there is a streaming service now too. So that's important.
7-day free trial.
There you go. So there's another story that just came out today, and someone actually asked me about this in the YouTube comments not too long ago. IndyCar video game. They've been working on this. I know people don't believe anything, and everyone wants to trash IndyCar for video game talk. But they have been working on this for a while, and there was an announcement. IndyCar and iRacing will be working together, the iRacing studios, to put out a console game, the first one since 2004. So
huge.
That's awesome. I think this is great. I think obviously they're kind of running with the same model that the NASCAR video game went after. Just trying to use the iRacing studios. I think is very, very smart idea. And it looks like we will finally get an IndyCar racing game. So that's fantastic news. And I'm very excited. What's your reaction to that, Chase? I mean, I think it's huge for the youth, huge for our community, huge for our fan base.
Yeah, no, that, as somebody that grew up playing a lot of racing games, it was a part of what got me into racing in general, aside from going to races. So this is something that is not only going to be fun for fans, not only something that I think a lot of fans have been craving for a long time on the NASCAR side and on IndyCar side, just fans of racing games in general. This can open up an entire new generation of fans for IndyCar. And I think that that's really what this all goes into at the end of the day, because we saw that kind of boom happen when we were coming up, when we were kids. And so that's what we need right now. We need more things on the outside that really let the user or the fan experience their sport in a whole new way. So I love it, and I can't wait to see what all you can do, because right now the Forza is really the only thing that's happening with IndyCar, which I think is also another cool project. But this is good for people that have different types of consoles. Console maybe isn't as big as it was when we were kids now, because I know a lot of people use the PC. But I will say there's just something about playing a PlayStation or playing an Xbox that's different for me, at least. So to just have that out there for everybody else is going to be huge, and just another way that we're going to keep carrying people into the sport.
I agree completely. So very cool to see. Congrats to everyone who's been working on that behind the scenes. I know the folks who have been working on the IndyCar video game very closely behind the scenes. And it's been a lot of work. So to see that finally get make some progress is really cool. So, all right, well, let's get to an interview that I'm sure several people are interested in. We have a first-time race winner, a very recent guest of this show, but we had to have him back because he's a race winner now. So, have a listen to our conversation. This is our first on the record conversation since obviously all that happened in Portland, but new times, new situations, and the Ed Carpenter Racing Team is victorious once again, first time in many years, with Christian Rasmussen. Well, folks, life has a funny way of working out, doesn't it? We've had a very recent guest on this show who is returning to join us because he's a first-time race winner. We interview race winners on this show. Sadly, we haven't got to interview a ton because obviously Alex Palou has won almost everything. But we have a new race winner, a first-time race winner. And I'm sure people are, interested to hear this conversation. So, Christian Rasmussen, honestly, congratulations on your first win. You and the team did the best job of anyone else in Milwaukee, and it was a great show as well. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It was. Let's talk about it right away because we started, of course, right near each other, which is just again funny how life works. And the race, I don't know, in practice, I thought it wasn't going to be maybe as good as the year before. And I don't really know why that is. But how are you guys feeling? Obviously you out-qualified your teammate, so that's a good feeling. And then, were you guys fairly confident right from the get-go after FP2 that like this was a possibility?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think especially in practice one, we struggled quite a bit. Like I think P26 in practice one, only beat Louis that didn't run. So like we were dead last. But obviously threw a lot of changes at it for qualifying, which helped, and we qualified honestly better than I thought we would. Qualified P10, started P9 after Dixon's penalty. And yeah, I just kept working on it through the weekend. Even practice two, like the car was tough to drive, but I think that was a little bit the case for everyone, especially once you got deeper into the stint, like the car's moving around a lot and whatnot. But yeah, we threw some changes at it, and even in the first stint of the race, I weren't super happy. I went backwards on the start a little bit and went long on that first stint, and it wasn't really shaping up to be anything exceptional. But we got, I think we took a little bit of wing out during the race, which kind of put us closer into the window. I was still fairly loose, I would say, the whole race, even towards the end. But got us into a window where at least we could compete. And then as the high line kind of opened up, well, I shouldn't say that because you rolled the high line right from the get go and had very very much success doing it. But once it started working for us, I could start making moves, and especially on new tires, I felt like we had a pretty good advantage even compared to other cars on new tires. I was still able to make moves there, and obviously then that last caution gave us an opportunity to put on some fresh rubber, and do what we could with that. I was talking to Woody and Pete, as you know, quite well even before the race, that if this opportunity presents itself with a late race caution where we can go get a tire advantage, we should 100% take it, almost no matter what track position that you end up getting. So when that opportunity presented itself, it was really a no-brainer for us to go take it. We were fortunate that a lot of people took it, so we didn't end out losing that much track position in the first place there. But yeah, still had to go out past cars on new tires, a couple overlappers as well, and then the Alex Palou at the end, which is no easy feat.
Were you surprised that the leaders didn't pit? Because I when I heard about that, I was very surprised. Like, we obviously pit as well for new tires, and I feel like a lot of people were thinking the same thing. Was there a conversation with you guys that if they did pit to maybe stay out, or always that was the goal, is to pit? Because I would have thought no matter what, if the leaders pit the very first two or three cars, there was always going to be people that wanted to stay out to try to just take a chance. But I'm still blown away that those guys, that they didn't pit, even though it still worked out. I mean, they still finished on the podium, but the tire advantage was massive.
Tire advantage was massive for sure. We were going to pit regardless of if they were pitting or not. I get their perspective. I think that had they pitted, I think probably more cars would have stayed out. So it's just one of those that you do the opposite to try and make something happen, right? So I understand their decision making as well.
For sure. Chase, I'm gonna let you jump in here.
Yeah, congrats on the win, my man. You went full send, I will say. Just want to give you that. And I wanted to ask you too, because just looking online, seems like you had a lot of outreach. And who are some of the people that have been with you throughout your whole career up into this moment of your first win that reached out to you, that had a big influence on you in your career?
Yeah, I mean, when you get your first win, you get a ton of people that you haven't spoken to in a long time too, that reach out to you. So yeah, no, it was great to feel the whole community, not only people that I know, but also people that I don't know, DMing me. I don't think I've ever had that many DMs in my is my thing. as I did this weekend. But now it's great, old investors and sponsors and all the people that has had a part of getting me to where I am today. Because that's not, I can't say that's only down to myself. I've definitely had some help along the way. So that was great to hear from everyone, and it was great to also give them that, kind of give them that. Yeah, this is turning into a successful story. So it's been it's not been easy to get to where I am today. It's been hard. It's been struggling to find the budget for each year, coming up through the ranks and so on and so forth. But through a great network and through a great through the scholarships, we were able to make it here, and now being one of the few drivers who, I think it's only me and Kirkwood that has won all three championships and all in the road to Indy, and then go on to win an IndyCar race. It's a very short list of people that have been able to do that. So being able to do that is that was really cool.
Now, this is obviously, we absolutely have to give credit where credit is due. Your team, I think, made the right calls. That the ovals have been very good for you guys, I would say. And that was not the case. I would say over the last couple of years, there were some struggles going on there for a little while. The new investment from everyone at Java House, that has clearly given you guys the ability to now get back to race wins. It's given the drivers a lot of confidence, clearly. And I'm very happy for Pete. Pete was obviously my engineer there at ECR, and I think Pete is very smart, and that's that was really, really great to see for him as well. But there's clearly something happening here that's good. Both the drivers, you guys have had some strong races. Is this something that's now like, hey, we really have made a step forward here with our whole program?
Yeah, for sure, and I think we continue to do so. A lot of stuff is going on behind the scenes that obviously the public doesn't really get a look into. But it's an exciting team to be a part of right now. With Heartland Food Group coming in, with Java House and Splenda as the main sponsors on the car, has just given this team some opportunities that we haven't had before. So it's still what you do with that opportunity. Just a influx of money doesn't just result into results on the racetrack. So this year has been very much about building a foundation to build on. Obviously, we're always trying to get better over the year, which is showing. We've had, obviously, like you say, a very good run on the ovals this year. I think my average finish on the ovals this year is 4.8. So very, very good. First win for ECR since 2021 with Renus. So getting the team back in victory lane, I think, creates a lot of excitement, not only from the partners, but also within the team. I think it's really good to have something like this happen towards the end of the year, as we go into a long off season, where a lot of development work is going to go into making our 2026 hopefully even more successful. So a lot of exciting stuff is happening. I'm really excited to see what we can do over the course of this off season to roll into 2026 and be even better.
Were you surprised that Palou gave you the high side on that last maneuver? I was very surprised. I thought that if you're going to defend anywhere, it's probably defend on the racing line and make you go to the bottom. But were you surprised by that?
No, I wasn't, because the run that I had, I probably would have got alongside him. I don't think I would have cleared him into the corner, but we would have at least been side by side into the corner. And when you're side by side and you have the inside line into turn 3, it's very easy to, I feel like, take the racing line anyways, and the car on the outside has almost no no choice of backing out of it. So no, I'm not surprised he took the inside line. He put on a pretty good fight. He held the line, and we were side by side all through turn 3 and 4. But it really started back in turn 1 and 2. He was on the racing line. I went high out of turn 2, got a good run on him down into 3, and didn't clear him again up until into turn 1. So no, I wasn't surprised on what he did. I think I probably, if I were in his situation, I probably would have had the same thought process.
Yeah, it was interesting on the starts and restarts because it felt like, again, the highlight, that's where I went a lot of the times, but it felt like this year there were some moments where the sweepers didn't really get the high side entering to 3 sometimes, it felt like, and so you almost hit marbles at random points. I don't know if you felt the same way, but there were a couple moments where you're like, I don't know if that was as clean as I was hoping, or maybe I was just more loose, I don't know, but since cars were able to run up there more often, like especially you and some other people that were trying to make it work. I mean, my spotter had told me multiple times that you were still running like half a lane up, and I was like, well, that's good. I'm going to try to do that, continue to do that as well. But do you think how important are those sweepers for extending the raciness of our cars?
Yeah, no, I think it's really, really important. We all know that once you get halfway through a full stint on tires, then that top lane starts to close. I didn't experience them not sweeping on the start of the corners, but I also felt like it wasn't really like particularly there at Milwaukee. It wasn't really highline from the entry of the corner. It's very much a regular start into the corner, and then you fade up high middle to exit. So I think as long as that was clear, we were good to go. But I also think with, as you say yourself, with not only me being the car up there, it kept it cleaner for longer. And even towards the end of the stint with 20, 25 laps in the stints, it was still usable.
For sure. Chase, I'm going to let you get another one in here.
Yeah, I want to know, now that you've gotten your first win, how is this affecting you personally and professionally moving forward?
Yeah, I guess we're yet to see that. But no, I think it's really good. Getting my first podium earlier this year, and then getting a race win here now is definitely a milestone in IndyCar that everyone aspires to get to at some point. Obviously, a lot of drivers have gotten there already, but I'm now in that group, which is great. It's obviously something that you work for since you start in IndyCar. It's always, I mean, we're all races. It's always our goal is to go win races. Doing that in IndyCar is not easy. And it's definitely a mindset change once you come from the lower categories and step into IndyCar. You have to kind of rewire your brain a little bit from being used to having the opportunity to win and can win races every single weekend, to going into IndyCar where it's just a different caliber of drivers, where that might not be the case. So obviously it's very sweet right now getting it done. But no, it's full focus on next weekend, trying to replicate it, trying to again build for the future so we can do it on a more regular basis.
You had a pit speed penalty, is that right? Was there a pit speed? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Was that at the beginning? It was very slick on the pit entry. Was it pit entry or pit exit?
It was pit entry. We have right as we dip under the pit speed, we get like a beep in our ear so that we know that we're under. And I think I must have locked up a wheel or something, so I got the tone. And then as I was letting off the brake and go back on power, I could still feel the revs coming down, and I was like, we're probably going to get a penalty here. Obviously didn't say anything on the radio, but I had a feeling that it was coming. We were pretty fortunate that the caution got out right after. And then I got reordered to start the race from the tail end of the field instead of getting a drive through under green. So I think that was pretty important for us to stay on the lead lap at that point. And yeah, pretty quickly after that restart, I was pretty quickly I was back to basically where I was right before I got that penalty. So it didn't hurt us massively. There was obviously some more cars that I needed to pass, but quickly we were kind of back at status quo.
Obviously, there was a lot of I got way more questions than I thought. Obviously, they interviewed you before the grid, and then when they went to me. And the TV loves playing up a bit of rivalry, a bit of chaos, because I think they're dying for that. And at the end of the weekend, I was just like, guys, everything has moved on now. Like we don't care about, like, this is like, yeah, everyone can be angry, but like the guy is a race winner. Let's focus on the fact that he's a race winner. Like, who cares what I think? Like, it's their first race win. That's huge. But we obviously got a lot of TV time too in the race, so that was good. Turns out we can still race. Turns out we can still race against each other. I mean,
it was imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that. It's entirely possible. But I mean, you know what? Maybe it was just up to us to create some sort of storyline, and we certainly did it. And there was some TV time, and we still raced. So yeah, nothing happened, which is great.
No, I think it's I was obviously asked about that situation a couple times during the weekend, but as I also said multiple times, that's, as I view it, that's last week's news. You know, now we're at Milwaukee, now we're focusing on this, and so we did. It obviously we had our thing. We didn't agree on the matter. We probably still don't, which is fine. You know, we're both race car drivers. We always think we are right in our situation. And I get that, you know, from both of our perspectives, but that doesn't mean that we can't go into the next weekend, put that stuff behind us on the track and go race, because I think that's really important. So yeah, no, I'm happy about that. And, again, put that behind us and off we go.
And honestly, you're a race winner now. So it doesn't matter at all what I say, because you got the win. So that elevates you into a whole new category of, hey, IndyCar race winner. That's a big deal. And it is really hard to do, as you mentioned. So, that's like, you got to respect that. Doesn't matter who it is. You respect the winners, especially first time winner, because it's a great story. And at the end of the day, I'm a sports fan. I'm a racing fan. And so seeing something like a first-time winner, I think, in our series is super cool. And then clearly the internet thought the same, because, well, obviously we're all tired of seeing Alex Palou win, so that's obviously helpful as well. But it is just cool for the sport, and so we definitely, we congratulate you on doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, first-time winner since 2023. So it's been a while. So being the guy to do that is great. 2 Danish drivers to do it in a row.
Yeah,
good for Denmark.
Both named Christian. What's going on Christian
there? Yeah, man. I know. So hopefully more of those to come in the future.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you joining us. I think there's, this was a necessary conversation. I think people will enjoy it, hopefully. And then we'll go at it again in Nashville.
Sounds good. See you there.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that one. Obviously, first time race winner. That's a big emotions, big feelings. And doesn't matter how I feel about our incident in Portland. I am happy as a race fan to see a first time winner. So congrats to those guys, to that squad. My engineer Pete over there, who definitely deserves a W. So yeah, these things. Life has a wild way of working out. So there we go. All right. Well, to wrap this show up, we will get to the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. Who make up the field?
This week we went, thanks to producer Bobby, to a year that we have not used before. And that year is 1947. And 1947, we found the P30 finisher, Milt Fankhauser. Milt Fankhauser finished P30, which is the last place finished there. P30, Milt Fankhauser, 1947 was his only race. Born in New York City, looks like. New York City, 1915 to 1970. He lived a long life. Not a lot of information about Milt. Not a lot of Milt Fankhauser information. Only one Indy 500 start. Do you find anything about him?
No, the only thing that I've found online, there is one image of him. I mean, like, you got to give him the nickname, the Fank. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, he gets fanky out there.
There you
like,
go.
This guy right here, there's an image on, I think, statsf1.com of, then that's it. And that's all we know about old Milt. So you could make a lot of stories, for Milt. Milt is a guy that you could, if you wanted to make some rumors, you could create stories for Milt. But we talk about rumors being created a lot. Yeah. So all we have is an image and a result.
There you go.
Crazy.
Milt Fankhauser. That's wild. So there you go. What a driver to find. Real quick shout out to AMPM and Arco. They were not going to be on the car at Milwaukee until last minute. So we really appreciate them adding that race to their program. That helps us a lot, helps just everyone a lot. So shout out to our partners this year at AMPM and Arco. They've been awesome to work with and super proud to represent for them. That's been awesome. So Nashville coming up this weekend, the All-American Rejects Chevrolet for Juncos Hollinger Racing. And sadly, this is the last one. This is the last IndyCar race of the 2025 season. It's been some near. We'll look back on it, but definitely feeling like we missed out on a couple amazing close chances. But we've also had some great runs as well. So we'll take a look back once we get through it. But one final race to go out on a high note. So we'll see you there, and we'll see you next week, no matter what, to talk about it on Speed Street.
Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.